Hey guys, what's going on? Hope you're all doing well. We've got some transfer news for you today, so let's just go ahead and get straight into it. The first topic we are talking about today is a big one. We'll start with the big one, Jadon Sancho to Chelsea. Now, this one compared to last year, maybe not as vital, as big as last year, but this article is titled Chelsea and Man United handed 30 million Jadon Sancho boost as Dortmund star makes admission on future. So he's basically admitted that he has an uncertain future ahead of him because basically what we're hearing is he's got a gentleman's agreement with Dortmund that he is allowed to leave this summer should, the right fee come in. Last year we saw the fee being 100 million plus, and it was looking very expensive, and Chelsea was certainly one of the clubs interested then. Man United were another big one. There were a few, other big clubs interested. But if we take a look into this article, it says that we've been given a potential boost as about 30 million has reportedly been shaved off his transfer fee. And that's looking to be about 78 million, I believe it is, if we read here. Michael Zorc, the club's sporting director, recently told ARD that there is a gentleman's agreement in place with Sancho, and Goal report that the agreement is that Dortmund would be willing to let Sancho go for 78 million. So, if the club and him have both agreed that basically he can go, it's going to happen this summer is what's looking likely. 78 million isn't a ridiculous amount of money, let's just round it up, say 80 million. 80 million for one of the best prospects in the world on the wing is absolutely, a good deal when you're looking at it. But is it a good deal for Chelsea? Now, if you told me last year, do you want Jadon Sancho? I'd say yeah, go and get him for that 100 plus million and just do it. Now I look at the situation and I see that we've got Timo Werner, who kind of plays, we're currently playing with two number 10s. I do imagine next year our tactics will change somewhat. Tuchel, I imagine, has implemented this system now to get results now, and will experiment a little maybe in pre-season and see if we can go back to a back four and get wingers involved in their more natural role. But even as we're playing with the two number 10s, we're playing wingers there, we're playing Pulisic there, we're playing Timo Werner there, who seems to be more of a winger for us than a striker at the moment. We're seeing Kai Havertz occupy that strike role a little more often. So we currently have Timo Werner, Hakim Ziyech, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Christian Pulisic as our out-and-out wingers. I'd say Timo Werner, we know is more of a striker, but he is playing the number 10 role a lot more often. So we'll count him in that. We've also got players that can fill in those roles either way. So do we need to add Jadon Sancho to that mix? I think it creates a weird dynamic in that, how are we going to play all of these players? Players are going to get left behind, and if that's someone like Callum Hudson-Odoi, who's only 20 years old, he's the youngest of the bunch, then does that stunt his progression as a footballer, and certainly as a footballer under Chelsea's name? So it probably does, and that means that he doesn't progress, and we all know Callum Hudson-Odoi has a great ceiling. Maybe you'd argue not as high as Jadon Sancho, but to be honest, I'm not even sure I entirely agree with that. I think Callum could certainly become a big player at this club, and he's only 20 years old. So, personally, do I think we should go and get Jadon Sancho? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that 80 million could be spent elsewhere. If we could put that money towards getting Erling Haaland, it's not always about money. Maybe he wants to go somewhere else. But if we win the Champions League and the FA Cup this season, I think that makes us an exciting prospect. There's certainly other clubs that someone like Haaland would want to go to. We've seen the links to Romelu Lukaku as well at the moment. There's other strikers available. Personally, Haaland is just a level above for me. He's young and he's that good, so I think he'd manage fine in the Premier League as well. He's very physical. A lot of players come to the Premier League. Timo himself was saying they're all 6'3" and weigh like 20 stone. Like, they're all huge blokes, and it's really hard to get past them. I think Haaland would enjoy that. I think he'd thrive off that, just like someone like Diego Costa did. So on this one, Sancho, I'm going to say no. We spend that 80 million elsewhere, bringing in a top striker. I would prefer that. Let me know what you guys think, because I think there'll probably be a bit of a divide on this one. I think people will say he's so talented that you just have to go get him when you have that opportunity, and I certainly see that. But who do you drop for him then? So we'll leave that story there and let me know what you guys think. So moving on to the next topic then, and this one I find a little surprising. This one is titled, "One of the tracks leads to Chelsea. Tuchel with opportunity for signing he wanted at PSG." And you're sort of thinking, who is it? Sandro has been linked with a move to Chelsea in Italy this month. I have seen these reports. I've been sort of, just watching them, sort of getting an idea of how reliable they are. On May 7th, we covered claims made by Tutto Juve that Blues like the left back, while it was also stated that Man United could be in for an offer for him. He's 30 years old, and our interest comes down to basically Tuchel wanting him more so than the club wanting him. Apparently he tried to sign the defender while he was at PSG, and it goes on to say that he's got an expensive contract, blah blah blah. It's claimed one of these tracks leads to Chelsea, and a potential exchange deal involving either left back Emerson or midfielder Jorginho can be a concrete possibility. And then it goes on to talk about Emerson and Jorginho. So this one I just find surprising. Why would we take a 30-year-old left back? Don't get me wrong, I think Sandro is a top player. I think he has had a great career, and he's definitely heading into the twilight years, but as we've seen with someone like Thiago Silva, he's old. He's 36, I might be wrong on that, but I think he's about that age. And he's still proving that he can do it at the top level. I do wonder whether, if we're playing how we use our fullbacks that bomb up and down that wing the entire game, they're expected to do a lot going forward and a lot going back in the defence. Can Sandro still do that? Possibly. He probably can do it now. In the next few years, he might have to start considering, maybe I can't run this much at this age, having had the career he's had. He's played a lot of football. So I find it weird. Do I want him? Maybe I'd take him, but honestly, if Emerson wasn't, I don't know the situation with Emerson, if he's necessarily looking to leave. If Emerson is kind of happy being the backup guy, the bench guy, and maybe expects a little bit more playtime next season, maybe he gets told, you'll play the cups, and if you have a really, if you show your form, maybe we'll give you a bit of a league run. Then I'd happily keep Emerson, because I do think he's a good backup. And I mean, we saw with the goal he scored recently, Emerson's not a bad player. And of course, we've got Marcos Alonso to cover left back as well, more of an attacking minded left back than someone like Emerson and Ben Chilwell, in that they can do a lot more defensive work and the attacking side of it as well. So Sandro, personally, I'm just going to say let's just leave it. Like, if we can hold on to one of Marcos Alonso or Emerson, that's a good backup for Ben Chilwell. Ben Chilwell is obviously the starter in this team for me. It would be weird to see us go for him personally. I don't understand this one too much. Maybe you guys have a bit more insight, or you understand where the club are coming from wanting to get Sandro at 30, 31. If you do, please let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this one, because I'm personally just not that fussed. I guess I'd take him if he came to the club. I'd take him, I'd support him, but it just seems like a very weird one to me, because we don't need to strengthen our left back position anymore. We recently got Ben Chilwell, who is, the future of left back for our club, and we've got backups in Alonso and Emerson. So unless they both leave, then I don't see the need for it. And if we're swapping him for Jorginho, then we've got too many left backs, and those other two are definitely going to have to leave, or at least one of them. So weird one for me. I'm just going to say leave it, no point. Then the next topic, and this is the one I sort of, it sticks in my mind. I'm thinking about it all the time at the moment, and that is Athletic covering Tammy Abraham very likely to push to leave Chelsea with West Ham readying loan offer. We know the situation with Tammy Abraham. Personally, I think he deserves to have started a few more games. There's games where we've rotated, and I've thought, how isn't Tammy getting into this team? Like, is he doing something that drastically wrong in training that Tuchel is just insisting that he needs to improve on? Maybe his finishing, maybe his pressing, maybe it could be a number of things. And he's just not getting into the team that way. I honestly don't know. I don't know what it is that keeps Tammy Abraham out of this team. But Chelsea have set a £40 million asking price for the striker Tammy Abraham this summer for any interested club, and they're expected to be a few. However, one interested club, West Ham, are hoping that the other interested clubs will be put off by the high fee, meaning that they will be able to land him on a loan deal. So West Ham interested in Tammy Abraham doesn't surprise me. I think he would do well there. But they're not willing to pay 40 million. I think realistically West Ham would probably go as high as 25 to 30. That may be the limit that they'd go to. Of course, they've had a very good season, so if they can strengthen with a striker like Tammy Abraham that'll get you 15 goals a season, maybe able to push to 20, then they'll be good off if they get Tammy Abraham. But they want him on loan, and you know it's I could see it happening because it allows Tammy Abraham to go there and sort of prove his worth. But at some point, he is going to start thinking, I need to be at a club that is, you know, permanently taking me on and permanently has plans for me for the future to, you know, grow and be their number one striker. He's not going to want to be at Chelsea and get loaned to West Ham this season and not play another season when he comes back. And then he'll be, what would he be then, 25? And then looking for another loan again. Maybe he's going to go to Leicester or something. I don't know. That he is not going to want to do that for much longer. So this might be his last chance. If he agrees to even go on a loan deal, he might just insist that we sell him, we get him a permanent club, and everyone's happy, assuming we get a good fee for him. I personally wouldn't be happy. I think we should keep him, and he is definitely a good backup, but a backup in the sense that he should be used more. He should be rotated in and out. He's capable of playing these games, whereas Tuchel just doesn't seem to think so. But it does then go on to say, the Athletic are claiming that the England international is very likely to push for a move to leave Stamford Bridge this summer. He is refusing to discuss a new deal with Chelsea after his real lack of game time recently, and reports of the club looking to buy a big new name striker with Erling Haaland and Lukaku being mentioned. So he's not going to be happy. He wants to be the number one. We're basically telling him you're not good enough to be the number one at Chelsea, and no wonder the guy wants to leave because we're not even playing him while we do have him. So I feel sorry for Tammy. It's a rough situation to be in. The striker position at Chelsea just needs to be resolved. You know, it's been years now that it feels like we've had a top striker. And is Tammy that? Maybe not, but I'm willing to take a chance on him and keep him at the club, play him every now and then, and if he really starts to develop, you know, he's still pretty young, then maybe we have a top striker on our hands, but it doesn't look like the club are going to go and give him that time. So he may well be leaving. I'd be quite happy to see him go to West Ham on loan, just because it means that, you know, we still have him. He can come back, he can perform there, come back, and maybe get into this team. But ahead of Erling Haaland, maybe not, but we'll see what happens. Then the final piece of news for today is that Newcastle are among the clubs looking to sign young Chelsea defender Gerry. That's Mark Gerry. Of course, he's come through our youth system and is currently doing really well at Swansea in the Championship. So generally, I think they're pretty happy with his loan. From what I'm gathering from Swansea fans, they seem to be pretty happy with his performances. He's going to be coming back. Of course, Chelsea have recently triggered a 1-year extension in the young defender's Stamford Bridge contract, so that shows that we either have intent to sell him, but for a good fee. You know, we're seeing that he's playing well, and we're like, you know what, let's trigger the extension, get a bit of extra time on his contract, and then clubs are going to have to pay more. You know, it's not like he's running out of contract anytime soon, so they can offer a small amount because they know that we have to accept it. It gives us leverage when it comes to negotiation. At the same time, it could mean that we have plans for him in the long term, and we just want to make sure that we, you know, extending that contract, giving him more time to develop, maybe on another loan or whatever, and see where he goes from there. It does go on to say that this has raised the prospect that he could leave in the summer, either on loan or permanently. He's currently on loan at Swansea, will be hoping to help them into the Premier League via the playoffs. The report claims that Newcastle are not among the favourites to sign him as it stands. West Ham, Crystal Palace and Southampton as named the other Premier League sides with interest. Borussia Mönchengladbach are also apparently keen on Gerry, and it would cost about 15 to 20 million to buy him this summer. So it's quite a fee for someone that, you know, is currently in the Championship at Swansea, but he's a Chelsea player officially, so we could probably fetch around that for him. I think he would do well wherever he goes because he's got good stature. He tends to look like he's got good technical ability, speed, you know, sort of bravery, those sort of things that you want in a centre-back. I like him a lot. I think he could have a future at Chelsea. He definitely has a future with England, I think. Wherever he goes, you know, as long as he continues to develop really well. Do Chelsea need him? I suppose we could use him as a backup. You know, you think of our bench at the moment, we're using Thiago Silva, not our bench, sorry, our centre-backs at the moment. Rudiger, Christensen, Thiago Silva are the main three. Kurt Zouma getting rotated in and out now and then. Aspi sort of playing in there. Aspi and Thiago Silva, of course, are very old. You know, Aspi younger, but they're getting towards the twilight years of their career. Bringing in someone like Mark Gerry to fill that bench out, you know, get a bit of rotation time, wouldn't be a bad thing at all, and I think he's certainly capable of playing in the Premier League. We've also got Ethan Ampadu, to come back. For Kyle Tomori, that situation seems to be looking like AC Milan are going to be taking him permanently, so he's one that we're going to be losing. So bringing in Mark Gerhy to this team I think would be a good idea, and we should not let him go. Although if we're going to let him go on a loan, I'd like to see him go to a Premier League club for sure. If Swansea managed to get up through the playoffs, I wouldn't even mind extending the contract with his loan and saying, you know what, keep him another year. See if you can stay up once you come up to the Premier League. And, he's already got that chemistry with the squad. So maybe that is an option. But it looks like, like as I said, West Ham, Crystal Palace, Southampton, Borussia Mönchengladbach, one of those clubs are going to come in for him, probably on a loan, I would guess. So I'll take a loan for him. But in the long term, I do want to see him on the bench, at least for Chelsea, and trying to get into that first team, because I think he's got a good talent to him. So we'll see how this one goes. That is going to be the end of the video, guys. If you did enjoy, please make sure to leave a like on the video. It really does help me out a lot. Subscribe so you get, updates on whenever I upload, stay up to date with all the videos, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Goodbye.